Welcome, one and all. You're back with the Hazfans at Hazfans Unlimited Gaming. Our fact video for you today is a big one. Get that paraglider and trusty steed ready because we're jumping into a Breath of the Wild fact video. I may not be armed with the might of divine beasts, but just like Link, I'm ready to tackle this one head on with nothing but a stick while just wearing my underwear. Breath of the Wild is the 19th main game to hit the Legend of Zelda timeline. Believe it or not, it came out back in March of 2017, with a simultaneous release to the Wii U and the Nintendo Switch. Yup, the Wii U. Remember that thing, kids? Development for Breath of the Wild took 5 years, beginning immediately after the release of Skyward Sword. Series producer Eiji Aonuma took on feedback that players wanted a larger, more interconnected map to explore. During development, the team took inspiration from Skyrim and Shadow of the Colossus. For the art style of Breath of the Wild, inspiration was drawn from various anime, one such inspiration being Studio Ghibli and Hayao Miyazaki Productions. Link has always been intended as a self-insert for the player to easily transpose themselves onto in order to be drawn into the Legend of Zelda games. So, in an attempt to enhance this feature, Aonuma redesigned Link to appear more gender neutral, so players could more easily relate to him. A trip down fan art lane will prove this definitely had people seeing Link from a more alluring angle. Speaking of Link's fashion, during early stages of development, some concepts for Link included him wearing a tracksuit while riding a bike. And Link is a musician, holding a guitar, presumably to save Hyrule through the power of music. I'll take my money now for that rhythm game idea. This version of Link is referred to as the Hero of the Wild, as Palutena informs us in Smash Bros. Ultimate. Breath of the Wild is the first Legend of Zelda game to have voice acting in the dialogue. The first. No, don't look over there. The Philips CDI Zelda games have just escaped from the dungeon again. Shoo, get back down there. Usually, Link's name is more customizable, with the name Link more so referring to the link between the player and in-character game, or the link between each story. But Breath of the Wild is the only game to explicitly state the main character Link, with no opportunity for customizing the character name given. So technically, this is the only canon Link in the series. As in tradition for the Legend of Zelda games, Link starts his adventure by waking up abruptly and not being allowed a lie-in. Granted, this time Link had been sleeping in the Shrine of Resurrection for 100 years, needing one hell of a power nap after almost dying. Dialogue from Zelda lets us discover that Link's father was a knight of Hyrule. As well as this, Zelda mentions, "Your path seems to mirror your father's. You've dedicated yourself to becoming a knight as well." Because Link's family weren't nobility, Link being promoted to champion and the princess's personal bodyguard really upset those snooty nobles. It would be hard not to be jealous of Link, because a peek at Mithra's diary also shows that Link was already a skilled swordsman when he travelled to Zora's domain when he was only 4. Maybe everyone was just too hesitant to fight the sword-wielding infant. Speaking of age, considering that Link is a similar age to Zelda in his Lost Memories, he is chronologically 117 years old. Luckily, that nap had rejuvenating age preservation qualities, so we don't run around the wild terrain of the game as an old man. Link's silence is explained by the game in Zelda's diary as Link growing quieter and colder as he became older due to the burden of his responsibility and all that was at stake because of it, which caused Link to silently bear these burdens to give the impression of strength. Because of his amnesia after recovering in the Shrine of Resurrection, he doesn't recall this pressure so much, and so is much more light-hearted. Link's silence initially makes Zelda believe that Link despises her, which makes their relationship more fraught. The two start out with a rocky relationship, mostly due to the fact that Zelda sees Link as a reminder of her own failures, with not being able to wield her sealing powers. Most of Zelda's frustration around her sealing powers come from the fact that she had no one to teach her how to use them. The last to have this power in her family was her mother, who died when she was only 6. The pressure of no one with sealing powers being around, meaning that Zelda's training began when she was only 7. This is the same universe, however, where 4-year-olds are running around as swordsmen though, so maybe she was considered a very late bloomer. Did you know you can get beloved Epona in this game? All you need to do is succumb to Nintendo's amiibos. Epona is different from the other horses you can find, as you don't need to tame her. Epona also makes an appearance in the game through the horse good company Epona Co., the company's logo being seen on the hats of any stable worker. The company was founded 150 years ago in-game and was clearly named after a legendary horse, as the stable worker will recognise Epona if she appears in your game and forces Link to rename her Epona. They just won't accept any of your other horsey names. You'd better be sitting down, because it's time for the best character. Yeah, that's right, Prince Sidon time. You may call me biased, and I am, but I'm biased with a group. In an interview with Zelda Universe, Breath of the Wild's lead voice director and English voice actor for Sidon, Jamie Mortellaro, confirmed that Sidon was acknowledged by Nintendo as Breath of the Wild's most popular character with fans, probably because he believes in me. And he's the first person to say that to me. All the other second generation champions are voiced in English by the same voice actor as the first generation champion, except for Sidon. Sidon's name is thought to either come from the musical note Si in Do, or could have connections to the Greek god of the sea Poseidon. Sidon is definitely too pure to have any similarities to this tumultuous god past the name. Just look at my boy. Riju, the current chief of the Gerudo, is shown as very young in the game, with scenes such as her having stuffed toys in her bedroom and the thunder helm slipping down her head. After further investigation, it seems the burden of leadership fell on her at only 12 years old. Despite this, she seems to be doing a much better job than a lot of real world leaders. According to Breath of the Wild, creating a champion, Impa is around 120 years old during the events of Breath of the Wild. We can only hope she's living out her golden years in style when she isn't helping Link. In-game, we are giving evidence of the Gorons being a male-only race, as while in Gerudo City, you can see 2 male Gorons, one of them speculating about why they were allowed into the city when it's female-only. For those of us who don't like solving puzzles the way God intended, you can use metal swords and shields in order to connect electronical currents and complete circuits in certain puzzles. The stables will refuse certain mounts, such as the stall horse and the Lord of the Mountain, as well as stags and bears, officially crushing my dreams of having Link ride a bear for the duration of his hero's journey. When going to Melania, the horse god used to revive your noble steeds, the theme heard is a mix of Epona's song and the Great Fairy Fountain's theme. The design of the guardian stalkers that pursue you throughout Hyrule were based on Octorocks. Personally, guardians gave me a greater spike in anxiety than the annoying little rock-shooting octopi. In the valley of the Hebra region, you will find the Forgotten Temple, ruins teeming with guardians. At the very end of this area there's a goddess statue, and if you compare the layer of this area to the layer of the giant goddess statue in Skyloft, found in Skyward Sword, this is likely the same statue, with floating ruins now crashed to earth. Areas can be found that reference other characters in the Legend of Zelda series. Examples include an island found in the Lanayru region called Linebeck Island, a reference to Linebeck from Phantom Hourglass, and Tingle Island, which of course pays homage to everyone's second favourite weird green guy. In the logo for Breath of the Wild, you can see a flower next to the Master Sword. This flower is a silent princess, the same flower that Zelda is so fond of. There, some cute little symbolism for the Zelda and Link shippers. Breath of the Wild was so influential that John Boyne, author of The Boy in Striped Pyjamas, accidentally used a recipe from the game in one of his novels. If you're reading A Traveller at the Gates of Wisdom, you'll find the ingredients for red dye included in the book in a passage where a dress is being dyed, with the novel detailing how the tale of the red Lizolphos and the 4 Hylian shrooms were used. Always check your sources, kids. DLC for Breath of the Wild included a Hero's Path mode, which when activated on the map shows everywhere you've been, and if you are as obsessive as me, then your map will be covered in a strange tangled mess of lines. The Master Cycle Zero included in the DLC was originally meant to be designed to look like a wolf, but this was changed to match the fact that Link uses horses to ride around in Breath of the Wild. If you're one of those people who rode horses like you were meant to, this makes sense anyway. Talking to the huge Korok Hestu, well, just in your underwear, will result in him changing the song he sings, with the lyrics including "I am naked, we are united in exposure, neki, noki, neki." Let's all just unite in exposure, my friends. The AI in the game includes routines for the enemies, such as the bokoblins, who will sleep and hunt to eat food. And here, we see the graceful bokoblin, wildly flailing a club at an unsuspecting bird. For anyone else who wants the most dangerous mount, because a trip where your ride can't murder you just isn't fun at all, you can actually ride Lynels. Needless to say, they don't appreciate this. During the game, members of the Yiga clan will often disguise as distressed villagers in order to attack Link. Defeating these enemies will always cause bananas to drop, because this clan was not only founded upon a hatred of Link, but apparently also a mutual banana addiction. I hear some of you in our audience like men, am I right? Yeah! Well, Breath of the Wild has you covered for how to pick up studs. If you find a shy in Gerudo Town, she'll teach you how to date men. One of the many things she'll teach you is that kidnapping is in fact not actually a good start to your romantic life. Dang, so that's what I was doing wrong. Better go let that guy out after we're done here. Speaking of Gerudo City, you can find Arito here, looking at the market and complaining that she can't find poultry. Hold up a second. When travelling to Dueling Peaks, you'll find an NPC on a bridge who will ask Link not to waste their life if they stand on the ledge. If you jump off and return, he'll offer to talk with you for a while and ask that you don't do that again. This NPC is a reference to Kevin Briggs, who is also known as the Guardian of the Golden Gate Bridge, who would talk down to anyone planning to jump off. Kakariko Village's design draws from inspiration from Jomon-style houses from ancient Japan. This style helps to add to the impression of the Sheikah's ancient roots in amongst the rest of Hyrule. Currently, the fastest any percentage speedrun for Breath of the Wild sits at 23 minutes and 42 seconds. For those unfamiliar with any percentage, this is basically just completing the main objective. So, in this case, running to Ganon in your underwear and beating him with a rusty sword. Interviews with IG Anuma have revealed that Breath of the Wild occurs after Ocarina of Time, with the suggestion that the history of Hyrule may have been revised also being presented, because the timeline for these games was notoriously just way too easy to follow, and we definitely needed to add in some challenge. It's fine, I can take down my corkboard, don't need it anyway. Anuma also confirmed that while Breath of the Wild is definitely on the timeline, its placement during development wasn't set in stone, to allow for the plot to be freely explored. Tears of the Kingdom will likely make its placement more definitive. Either because of this uncertain placement, or due to the timeline being shaken up, a lot of elements from different timelines can be seen in Breath of the Wild, such as the presence of the Rito, who evolved from Zora in the adult timeline from the Ocarina of Time, which means it should be impossible for them to exist alongside the Zora. Nintendo have stated that they would like to make the timeline more straightforward moving forward with the series, so it is likely that something happened to converge the three existing timelines and therefore end the current multiverse nature of The Legend of Zelda's timeline. To celebrate Tears of the Kingdom coming out, here are some facts about our favourite Korok torture game. This game brings back a map that we recognise but has evolved alongside its awesome mechanics. An example of this is the Mithra Court, an extension to Zora's domain Sidon has made to honour his champion sister. As well as the land developing, the characters have too. Estimations from some side quests help us to put this game as around 6 years after Breath of the Wild, making Link around 23 years old. We can also see he has moved in with Zelda in Hateno Village. She may live with him, but she has nothing on the Zora, who has a whole statue of Link riding him. Tears of the Kingdom has a really mixed bag of characters that do recognise Link and those that don't. Hetsu doesn't even recognise our hero, despite the fact that you find a maddening number of his annoying Korok friends last game. Talk about ungrateful. We've all seen how awesome the mechanics of the game are, and Nintendo managed to develop that in just 6 years. Really shows what keeping a strong staff between projects can do, in an age where creative teams are being respected less and less. Phew! There we have it folks, a quick jaunt around Hyrule. Facts about these games are as numerous as Quirks seeds, so let us know anything we missed in the comments below. While you're down there, scream "Hiya!" while you hit like and subscribe and ring that bell. I'll be enjoying my freedom now that Tears of the Kingdom is out and I flee from humanity to enjoy it in my dungeon. Until next time, I've been TheatreCrow from Hazfans and Limited Gaming, and you've all been awesome.